Hello and welcome to step 1 of stage 2. So just like before, go under projects, open, select step 1 and then open. Now the first thing we're going to do before we do any modelling is change the project units. So up in your ribbon at the top, go to the Manage tab, then along to project units, a new window will open. And you can see here that our length units is currently at millimeters. If you select the millimeter button, another window will open, and we're going to change it to millimeters and centimeters and then press OK. In this window you will notice that we have area, volume, angle, slope, currency and mass density. If you want, you can have a muck around with these and change these. Sometimes I generally like to make sure that the decimal point is rounded up to 0. And that's usually the case on all of these. Like this one here is 2 decimal places. I generally don't like that and usually have 0. But again, as this is a training session, it shouldn't really matter. So once you've done that, press OK. So the first thing we're going to do here is import a CAD site plan. So in your ribbon, I want you to go to pretty much to the left, around about here. Press the Insert tab. Then along to the right, CAD import. And in your additional files, highlight site plan, but don't press open just yet. What we're going to do is we're going to change the colors to invert. We're going to specify the layers, so make sure that that's definitely specified, and we're going to change the import units to centimeters. I want you to change the positioning to center. Level 1's fine, and then press open. Now, because we're specifying particular layers within the CAD file, you get this import window open. We're going to want to import 5 things. So I want you to press check none, so none of them are selected, and I want you to bring in the building border, the house number, the rough region, street border and street name. Once you've done that, press OK. Now, as you can see on my window, it should be exactly the same on yours. Our CAD plan has literally come in the center and it's tiny. What we're going to do is we're going to scale this up. Now, it's important to remember that we changed our project units under the Manage tab. We changed it to meters and centimeters, and we imported the DWG as meters. So if we zoom in a little bit and then select our DWG, our user interface will go green at the top, and we're now going to choose the scale button, which is just here. Once you click that, the options bar at the top has graphical or numerical. We're going to go to numerical and we're going to put 100, and then if you click again on the DWG, you'll notice that our whole DWG plan has scaled up to the right size. With the DWG still selected and your user interface still green at the top in the ribbon, we have a number of options to muck around with the DWG. We can delete the whole layer, which is if it is exploded, but you can delete the whole thing. And then you have exploded, so you can partially explode it or full explode. I kind of advise you don't really do this because DWGs are not native to Revit, but sometimes you need to. And then you also have a query tool. Now the query tool is really quite interesting. It's like specification of importing the layers. You can actually examine these layers while it's in the model. So I'll show you. So if you go to query, if I select the light blue line, it will tell me that it's a line type and it's our street border layer. So let's delete this, and then if we highlight over Hayden Street, it will say that this is our street name. We can delete this. If we go to the numbers, it will tell you that it's the house number. We can, if you want, you can delete it or hide it in view. It doesn't matter, but basically if you delete it, it does actually make the file slightly smaller. But for now, just to show you, I'm going to hide it in view, and all our numbers have disappeared. Now, once you've done that, it is important to know that under the query tool, if you press in negative space, it does not finish the command. So to do that, you need to press escape twice, and you will go back to your normal user interface. Now, because our elevation markers are slightly outside of the highlighted building in the DWG, what we're going to do is just going to slightly move it. So we select it, press the move tool, and put it pretty much in the middle between the 4 elevation markers. Now the next thing we're going to do is rotate this DWG, but before I do that, it's important to know that under your properties palette you will see here that it says that the orientation is project north, and we can actually change that to true north, but we won't do that yet, but it's just important to know that it's there. So to change and rotate the DWG, we go to the architectural tab in the top left hand side, then go along to the middle and you'll see model line. If you click this, the user interface will go green. We're going to use the line tool, which is currently set at. Now if we zoom into the black footprint of this DWG and then click on the endpoint here and then just go straight down, and don't forget if you press shift it will lock it to go vertically or horizontally, so we want to go vertically down and then click again, so we've got a nice straight line. And then if it's in the chain command you will keep getting the option to keep on drawing, so press escape twice. Now once that line is drawn, we're going to find out the angle of what the DWG is compared to our perfectly vertical line. So to do this I want you to go to the annotate tab and then choose angular dimension, and then I want you to highlight the green line and then the DWG line, and if you pull down slightly and then click once, you'll see that we're currently at 4.50 of degrees. To cancel that command, press escape twice. Okay, so we now know our dimension of 4.5 and we need to rotate it by 4.5. So there's two ways of selecting all the DWGs, and you'll notice on my screen that if I do right to left in negative space, the highlighted area has a dotted grey line, and if I do it from left to right you'll notice that it's a solid line. So for example, if I zoom all the way out and then do left to right, I will select everything, and in my filter button it will tell me exactly what I've highlighted. But if I do it the other way, and I do it pretty much zoomed in around the black footprint of this building, and I go right to left instead, just over the building, my dimension line and the model line, it will only highlight the whole DWG, our dimension and our model line. And to confirm this, if I go to the filter button, it will say, look, here's three options, three things that I've highlighted. So now that it's all highlighted, we're going to actually rotate it by 4.5, and you'll notice that our user interface is green. So the rotate tool is here. Now you'll notice that the rotation is all the way out here. Now the reason why it does that is because it centers on the whole DWG or whatever you've highlighted. But you can actually move this, and there's two ways of moving it. You can either hover over the blue dot, click once and then drag it and let it go again. Alternatively, if you press the space bar, it is trying to figure out where to place it. So then if you go down to this top corner here and then click again, the rotation will be on that point. So the next thing we're going to do is highlight the DWG on the black footprint, click once and then rotate it to your model line and then click again, and your DWG has rotated. Once you've done that, I want you to press escape once. Okay, so now that we've done that, if we go back over to our properties palette, and now we're going to change the orientation from project north to true north. And now we're going to actually change it again and go back by 4.5 degrees. But this time we're going to go to the manage tab. Then we're going to go to position, and we're going to, under the drop down menu, we're going to choose rotate to true north. Again, this is the rotation and it's taking it on the center point of the whole thing. So if we then press spacebar, find the top point, then the green model line, click there, and then go back to the DWG, and the whole thing will change again. Once you've done that, I want you to go back over to the properties palette and change true north to project north, then bring your cursor back in and you'll notice that the DWG and the whole model space rotates back by 4.5. Okay, so now everything has been moved by 4.5 degrees. I want you to highlight the model line and press delete, and you will notice that our dimension is also deleted. And that's because dimensions are always looking for something to dimension to. So the second you delete it, the dimension goes, well, I've got nothing to speak to, so it has to delete itself too. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to model some generic models of the surrounding buildings. But as I like to work in 3D, I like to have both window open. So if you go to the little house at the top, press the 3D button, then WT and then ZA, we have a representation of our 3D levels as well as our DWG, which is currently set at 0, level 1. Okay, so from here I want you to go to the ribbon and choose the architectural tab, and then 4 tools along under component, press the down menu and then select model in place. A new window will open, and if you click inside this window and then press G, it will jump down to generic models. We're going to create these 3D surrounding buildings under this category. Once you've done that, press OK. Another window will open. If you want to name these, you can, but for the moment I'm just going to leave it as generic models number 1 and press OK. Once you do that, your drawing areas will be slightly dimmed / grayed out, so to speak, and your user interface will change. The tool we're going to use is Extrusion, so I want you to select this button. The user interface will change green, and I want you to zoom in to your 3D view. Now from here I want you to choose the pick line tool, which is under the draw section, and you'll notice a little green line with a cursor on it. That basically indicates that you're going to pick a line. So if you literally select that, and then let's zoom in to pretty much this building here, or this footprint here, and you can select individual lines by going click, 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 and you will notice that this particular line here is 3 lines, so we want to close that. So we can actually use the trim extend to corner. So if I select that button, then select this line, then this line, it will close the loop, and if I select this line and this line, it will close the loop. It is slightly out because there are 3 lines there, but for now it doesn't matter. But once you've done that, you should always check every single corner nevertheless. So if I zoom in here, you'll see there's actually a bit of a rogue line. Now I could use the pick line tool and select that, but I won't because it doesn't really matter for the moment. But I'm going to actually close the lines again by the trim extend to corner tool by selecting here and here. And again, it's good to always check that they are connected at all 4 corners. Once you've done that, I want you to press the green tick, and you will notice that our generic model has created some pull handles, and we can pull and extend the generic model, but you'll also notice that it will click to a level in your 3D levels, will highlight where it could be done. So if I just leave it on the 4th level, which is this one here, I'm happy with that. Staying within this tool, because we have another green tick and a red cross, but we don't want to do this yet, but staying in this mode, you can still see it's slightly grayed out. I want you to hover over to this corner footprint here, and again I want you to press the create tab, top left, press extrusion again, the user interface changes again, and I want you to use the pick line tool again. Now this time I want you to hover over this line and then press tab once. Once you do that, you can notice that the whole chain for that footprint is selected. Once it's all highlighted, click again on your mouse and it will create all of those lines in one click. Once you've done that, I want you to press the green tick again, and you will notice that we are back to where we were with this particular footprint model and this one. Now I showed you that if we pull it up, it will jump or indicate where it can be on levels, but you can also manually change it in the options bar up here or in your properties palette. We're going to change this to 1500, so 15.0. Once you've done that, I want you to press the green tick. From here, I want you to close level 1, so we have a full view of our 3D. Now if I hover over our generic model, you'll notice that both of them are highlighted. Now if I double click on the generic model, we can then individually control them. Now, the common mistake that people usually make is what they do is they go to the create, they go to the extrusion, they go into the sketch mode because the drawing is slightly grayed out or the model space is slightly grayed out, and then they do something silly like this. They highlight particular one building, but they don't press the green tick, and then they go to another building and they do two sketches at the same time, and then they press the green tick. Oh, it tells me that it's not closed, so I just need to quickly close it. Seems like there's more than one line there, so I'll delete that and press green tick. Where is that problem? Oh, it's orange, it's over here. Continue. Let's delete those. And then green tick. And you will notice that the pull handles are actually in the middle and it's controlling both. This is bad Revit, because the likelihood of this particular footprint model here of this generic building being exactly the same as that is 1 in a trillion. So you really shouldn't work like this, because it's every element should be its own individual element. So it's literally better to always do one sketch per building. Okay, so once you've done that, press the finish. Now, what is good Revit, even though they're in the same model editing space, is that you can still individually control them while you're in the edit mode, because you can see here it's under a green user base. Okay, that concludes step 1. So from here I want you to close this window and say no, and we'll see you in the next one.